Good evening. Laura Donnelly here from Dancing with Ease, Body Brain Balance. And I had a busy 5 days. I was working with clients and teaching dance and seeing family. And I got home and I'm like, man, I'm really tired. And I'm thinking, this was like no big deal, really. I taught a couple of classes. It wasn't a lot. I did some regular office work for a client that I normally do. I did go to a city to meet my cousin for lunch. And when I do that, I usually go to a couple of really good natural grocery stores because they have things that I can't get in my town. So that's kind of a big shopping thing. So I did all that, and I was like, this is kind of normal for me when I would go to a city. But and it was really great to see my family. And when I went to this other town where I taught dance and I stayed with other parts of my family. Then today, driving home, I'm like, people make me tired. And I'm like, uh-oh. So then I'm thinking about the COVID isolation and staying home and connecting with people via the phone, which I have been trying to do to stay in touch with people that are near and dear to me, even if they live far, far away. And for many who live close, they're not seeing anybody. They're not going, they might go to the grocery store. Now, this is the weird thing. They go to the grocery store and see people that they don't care about, that they don't even know at all. But they don't see the people they care about, their friends. Because they don't. So I started thinking about that. And then I started thinking about isolation and how isolation affects people who are introverts and how isolation affects people who are extroverts. Because this is what I do. I just think about stuff. So I was thinking about that. And then I was thinking about me, because often I think that I am an introvert who has developed an extroverted persona that I can just kind of put on in a public situation and deal with people. And then it seems like I'm this bubbly, outgoing kind of person. But what I realized at some point as an adult is that being in that persona, activating that part of myself, it takes a lot of energy. And so I was out and about people for 5 days solid. And I got home and my cat was here, and in my room where the lighting is better is here, and my husband is here, who is pretty easy to be around, calm. Energy is calm. And the thing is, when you see people you haven't seen for a long time, you have all this catching up energy to do. This has happened, that's happened. This is a new thing. This is something I did. This, whatever. And you're sharing these things that have happened since you saw them the last time. Which now, because with COVID, we don't see people for really long periods of time sometimes. This catching up is a kind of a big deal. It might be catching up on 6 or 7 months of what has transpired. Now, fortunately for me, it wasn't quite that long. So it was a shorter amount of things. But then I saw some good friends in person. But this being with people takes energy. And I think it takes more energy with a mask on. Because when you go to communicate and half your face is hidden, the communication is different. When somebody can see your whole face, they have an idea of your energy, your intention, your inflection. You have a lot more vocal range when you're not wearing a mask, because when you're wearing the mask, especially for older people, right? They may not say this, but a lot of older people are reading lips a little bit because their hearing isn't as good as it once was. And say you're at a restaurant, you're wearing the mask, you can't see the lips, you have to talk louder. So sometimes the energy of speaking is not the energy of the content that you want it to convey. So all of these are just things to think about, to consider, to look at in yourself how the ongoing situation is having an effect on you. And with that effect, what do you need to do to stay in balance in yourself? You know, when do you need to rest? When do you need to come back to your quiet place and restore? If you are missing people and missing social contact, there's maybe think of some things you can do. I do talk to people on the phone, and it is good. And I do a lot of times a Zoom call or FaceTime, but man, that FaceTime camera is bad, isn't it? I mean, how is it that your photo camera is so good and the FaceTime camera makes everybody look 5 or 10 years older? What is with that FaceTime camera? Well, at least on my phone. So anyway, if you need in-person communication, how can you achieve that? Now the video is pretty good. You know, it's really pretty good for connecting to people, but it's not the same as being in person. And I do some classes online. I have some wonderful people that I see every week in class. We practice ease together, and it's really wonderful. And they're all over the world. In Switzerland, in California, different places in my home state. And it's not possible for us to meet in person. And so there is an ability through this medium to establish a good connection. But at the same time, it's not exactly the same as the in-person energy. And if you're somebody who is fairly quiet and retiring, the energy to be around people is different. And what I discovered is that I didn't realize how much energy it took to be my public persona, because I have been alone with my husband, quiet in my house. Online is slightly different than person to person, and person to person greeting the public, or person to person teaching. I mean, teaching takes a lot of energy, and being present and engaging with the students and encouraging the students. And oh my Lord, teaching with a mask on, my voice. Yeah. And even I was trying to be easy. But still, for the students to hear me, I have to talk a lot louder than I have to talk without a mask. For the students, they have to feel like they're yelling when they're going to answer a question. They're so polite and they're so sweet, these young dancers, and they practically whisper inside their mask. So we had to establish that it's okay to yell in the dance studio, which normally it's not okay to yell in the dance studio. So just questions, because questions give us information, and looking at things from different points of view and different sides allows us to say, oh, if I'm going to be gone and out and about and in the public for 4 or 5 days, how much time do I need to set aside for myself to be quiet and sequestered when I'm not just asleep? Because asleep is good, but asleep isn't this quiet, restorative, self-reflective time. And so if you're there and you're noticing that, you can always do the cycle, which I did yesterday for more reasons than I knew, but it was like Friday and I was tired and it was the end of a very busy week, and I did the cycle just to come back to myself. But you can do it in the morning, and you can do it in the evening. You can do it throughout the day, quietly. Even if you're at a meeting, right? You can put your hands under the desk and you can listen, and you can simultaneously scan for ease in your system and see what happens at your meeting. It might go differently. So I would love to hear from you if what your thoughts are about dealing with sort of being separated from people, separated from your families, isolated in place. Maybe you have been quarantined. I have a friend who's been quarantined, and she's like, I never want to go through that again. Maybe she can prevent that. Maybe she can't. Myself, I'd be going, what drove me crazy about that, and how can I take care of that in case it happens again? That's my frame of reference and how I approach things. So I just feel free to share in the comments if you're an introvert or an extrovert, how you think that those tendencies in your personality allow you to deal with this situation. Could be good and challenging things from both points of view. So I'll look forward to hearing from you. This was day 221 of Strange and Interesting Times, and I'll be back tomorrow, which is Sunday. So take good care.